everybody, this is Roxy, Firewife Lawyer Mom. I'm so excited because today's video is going to be the 10 things that I do to wrap up the homeschool year. So stay tuned. So much for clicking on this video and for joining me today. I'm really excited because I'm going to be sharing with you the 10 things that I do to wrap up a school year. Now, as you guys know, by the time March, April, and May hit, we start to go, kind of get a little bit tired and ready to get to that summer break or any kind of break that you have right after you end a school year. There are certain things that I like to do to make sure that when I wrap up my school year, I kind of can close it up and just have that final conclusion to the school year. And so there's certain things that I do, and I figured it would be great to share with all of you what I do to go ahead and wrap up the school year. So what I like to do is around early to mid-May, I start to really figure out how many weeks left we have of school, and I kind of start to see what are the kinds of things that I want to do in those last remaining weeks to help me to wrap up the school year, to make sure that we finish all of our curriculum, that we look at what curriculum we may not finish because maybe we were behind, and kind of see and evaluate what it is that we want to accomplish and to kind of wrap up in the school year. And so there's 10 things that I like to do in order to make sure that my end of school year is kind of going to end in a culmination of accomplishment and that I'm able to get and finish all of the goals that I had for that school year. So I'm going to share with you 10 things that I do to wrap up my school year. Now, the first thing that I do is I like to look at my year at a glances. So I prepare these year at a glance worksheets. Now, this I do at the beginning of the school year, and basically it is my roadmap throughout the school year. So I divide it into weeks, all the weeks that I'm going to be homeschooling that year. And I just basically divide the lessons of each of the curriculums into those weeks so that it can kind of give me an idea as to whether or not I'm going to finish that curriculum, whether or not I need to do that subject 2 times a week or 3 times a week or every day of the week. And so this really helps me. And it doesn't mean that I'm married to this, meaning like if I don't follow this and I'm behind, that I'm going to just kind of throw it all in the garbage and just kind of feel that I failed. I don't do that with this. This is really just to kind of keep me on track and on how I'm doing with my pace of my homeschool. So what I like to do, I like to go through each of the different subject areas in my year at a glance and kind of see, with the weeks that I have left of school, what is it that I'm going to be able to finish? Do I need to double up on any kind of lessons? What do I need to do? Or do I need to kind of confirm that I'm just going to have to carry that curriculum over to the next year? As I have shared with you in my videos before, I don't really mind, other than math, carrying curriculum over to the following year, especially if we only have about 10 or 15 lessons. I really feel very comfortable with just moving that curriculum over to the following year. Math is an exception. I really like to complete my math curriculum just because of the math concepts and how they're divided through the grade levels. And so that's one subject that I really try to get that done. But the other ones, I start to look at, okay, what is going to be rolling over into the next school year, and what do I want to do? Do I want to just, take that curriculum and I only have 2 lessons left and say, okay, we'll just go on to the next level? So I make those kinds of decisions during that time. So going through my year at a glance is great. And what I like to do with that is I like to prepare a couple of lists. So what I like to do with my year at a glance is as I'm making these decisions, I like to create an end of year roadmap. And so what I do is I divide the weeks that are left of school into, different sections of paper. And then I put in, okay, what do I want to get done in these last 4 or 5 weeks, and I kind of map it out. So I plan it so that I know exactly what I'm going to be accomplishing and what I'm going to be kind of wrapping up in that school year. So I create that. Then I also create another list called an end of the year recap list. And so that is where I look at what is the curriculum that we used, what is the curriculum that we did not finish, what kind of curriculum didn't work that I need to set aside to possibly sell, And so I kind of make those decisions as I go along. I also make my read aloud list as well, as to what read alouds I had read throughout that year. So I kind of just do that so that I can kind of begin to divide my curriculum into what I'm keeping for either my younger daughter, what I'm going to be actually using for the following year, or what I'm just found out that doesn't work or that we completed that I can then sell and try to make some money off of the curriculum. I really am a big, strong believer in if the curriculum works and you have not completed it, it's no problem moving it on. Why? Because curriculum's expensive and we want to make sure that we're getting the full use out of our curriculum. So pretty much that's the first part of what I do for my end of year recap. I go through my year at a glances. I look at and make lists of the curriculums that I didn't use, whatever I'm going to sell, and whatever I'm going to transfer to the next year. I set what I have not finished. I set that aside and I put that in the pile with my next year's curriculum. And that's it. That's pretty much like the first 4 things that I do. Now, the 5th thing that I do is I make a plan for my end of the year project. We have done this since the beginning of homeschooling. Every year, I like to create a little end of the year project for my daughters to do. So I use either something that they studied in history or something that they studied in science, and I like to have them do some kind of an end of the year project. Usually what I like to do is have them pick something that really interests them in their core curriculum that they studied either in science or history, something that they were interested in, and I have them do a project on that. For example, this year I found on Teachers Pay Teachers a really cool biography, student report type of thing for 3rd grade for my youngest daughter, and she's going to be doing that on George Washington. This year we really focused on American history, and so I figured I would pick George Washington, who she really asked a lot of questions about while we were doing the lessons on the American Revolution and all that stuff. And so I'm going to have her do a little craftivity where she kind of draws George Washington, and then she's going to highlight important things about his life and his accomplishments and things like that. For my 6th grader end of the year project, she's going to be doing what's called a 1-pager. So I'm going to have her create for her end of the year project a 1-page. It's kind of like a little bit bigger than a regular sheet of paper, where she's going to create a little collage of different things about that time period in history. So this year we really focused on early modern history, especially we focused on World War I, World War II, and the Cold War. So I'm going to have her do a 1-page kind of big collage where she's going to put in quotes from that time period, famous quotes that were said, pictures, draw certain things, put certain facts, kind of make like a Mod Podge of different things that happened throughout those 3 important times in history. And so she's going to be doing that as her end of the year project. So I've already prepared all of that, and it's ready to go, and I'm going to be presenting it to them usually about 4 weeks before the school year ends is when I give it to them, and they have the entire month to work on it. And it's great. I like to also have them present their project to the family or to their grandparents so that they can kind of just have their own conclusion to the school year, their own wrap up of all the things that they learned. The next thing that I like to do is I like to begin planning my summer plans. Now, we in our homeschool, we do not do year-round schooling. We do take our biggest break during the summer. It's usually about 8 to 10 weeks that we take off, mainly because of the fact that we do summer camps in the summer. My daughter is a competitive dancer and also dances in competitions in the summer. And so we really like to have that time. And not only that, I like to have my biggest break so that I can get ready for the next school year, decompress. As you guys know and I've talked about before, homeschooling takes a lot of mental energy, especially when you're a working mom. I like to have that big break. However, I do want them to continue to do a little bit of studies so that they kind of keep their things fresh. And typically, I like to focus on, during the summer, continuing with math, just practicing those math facts or any of those math concepts that they learned from the previous year. And I also like to have them focus on a couple of reading, on a couple of books for them to read. So I usually assign about 2 books for the summertime. They're going to read those books throughout the summer, and then when the school year starts, they actually will do a little book report on that. as well. So I like to kind of pick out, what are some of the books that we didn't get to last year. I always like to search my homeschool room library first before I think about buying anything else. The next thing that we like to do is we like to create what's called a summer reading challenge. So I like to do something fun for their summer reading to encourage them, because it's hard during summer break for them to get to their reading. So I like to create like a little chart for them to put like stickers on, and every time they have done their reading for the day, maybe at the end of 3 or 4 weeks, if they've done their reading every day, then they'll go get some ice cream or have a fun experience or get to stay up late. I like to have some kind of incentive. So I create a little summer reading challenge for them as part of my list of things to do. The next thing that I like to do is I like to go through the books that they've read, and I like to create a book log of all of the books that they read for that school year. Not only do I prepare that for my portfolio, which I present to my evaluator, but I like to know what are the books that they read. And I also, this year, I'm going to start having them actually rate the books and tell me how they felt about each book, how many stars that they gave the book. So I'll probably have like 1 to 5, 1 being that you didn't like it, 5 that you liked it. And I like to create that so that they can be able to give me their feedback on what types of books that they like. Also, I like to ask them, what are some of the books that they would be interested in reading for next year? What are some things that interest them, whether it be fiction or nonfiction, whether they like mystery books or books about history or any kind of, or scary books. So I kind of ask them throughout this time to get an idea of what kind of books I can assign for next year. Because as you guys know, and I've shared before, I assign reading for them throughout the school year, but I also like to put in some of their feedback when I pick those books as well, so that they're reading things that they enjoy. The next thing I like to do is I like to begin prepping for my portfolio. So in the state of Florida, we have to create what's called a homeschool portfolio. Now, there's other options that you can also use to satisfy the homeschool statute in Florida, but we choose to do the portfolio. And I like to prepare my portfolio on, it's a digital portfolio that I prepare on OneNote. And I have shared in videos before how I do that and how I divide that and organize that as well. And so I begin that process of gathering all the paperwork, kind of sifting through all of our work from the year, pulling out the most important things, kind of dividing things out so that my evaluator can see a good picture of how our school year went. So I start to get that process rolling. I begin my new OneNote notebook on the computer. I kind of set that up with all of the tabs and all the dividers and get that all going. And the last thing that I like to do during the wrap up of the school year, especially because it's fresh in my mind, is to make a list of what kind of goals and what kind of goals we want for next year. And I kind of look at what the goals were from last year and see if we accomplished those goals. I also like to look at what are some of the things that my children struggled with towards the end of the year that maybe we want to reinforce next year. Maybe we want to kind of go over next year and have a couple extra lessons on. So I like to just sit down and really have a good, strong reflection of how the school year went, how it went individually for each child. Because as you know, the beauty of homeschooling is that you tailor the curriculum, you tailor the learning for your child and for their needs. And so I always want to make sure that I am keeping their needs in the forefront of my mind as I am going through not only wrapping up the school year, but beginning the new school year. So that's it. Those are the top 10. I think they might even be top 14 or 15. I don't know. I said a lot of things, but those are the kinds of things that I do to prepare for ending the school year. What are some of the things that you guys do to prepare for an end of the school year? Is there anything that maybe you do that you didn't hear today's video? Definitely leave it in the comments below, because I'd love to get ideas. Maybe there's something that you guys do at the end of the year that I would want to incorporate for me as well. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this was helpful and inspirational for you, that maybe you can kind of sit down and make a list on your own to wrap up the school year for you all. I am so excited that I'm going to be entering into my 5th year of homeschooling, and that summer is already here. I'm so excited for the break. I definitely need it. I don't know about you mamas and dads, if you guys need a break, but I'm ready for a little bit of downtime from homeschooling and to just kind of get reset and refreshed for the next school year. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye. See you in the next video.
Everything's moving slow.